Hi, my name is Dr. Ryan Arthur. This video will show you how to write your results and discussion sections. These sections will be discussed together because they are symbiotic. They feed off of each other. The results section cannot be understood without the discussion section. Likewise, the discussion section cannot be understood without the results section. The results section and discussion section are sisters. They interact with each other. The results section requires you to describe your findings, while the discussion section requires you to analyze your findings. We will explore what these concepts mean. The results section is descriptive. It requires you to describe what you have found. Describe what happened. Describe what is in front of you. Describe what is apparent from your findings. Describe what is on the surface. Describe what is visible. For example, when you present the comments of your interviewees, you do not analyze them or critique these comments. You are just presenting them, or stating common facts about the organizations you are investigating, or providing background or contextual information. All of this is being descriptive. Here is an example of being descriptive. Charity A reports to the Charity Commission and to their own boards about its performance, very much on the surface. The opposite of being descriptive is being analytical. To be analytical is to find out why. This is when you look for a deeper meaning. You want to go below the surface. You make explicit what is not apparent. You make visible that which is invisible. You want to suggest reasons that are not evident. You want to read between the lines of your interviewees' comments. You want to explore the unsaid, or you want to elaborate on their comments. Being analytical is to present points that are debatable. You may be right, you may be wrong. Even though you are putting forward the most plausible reason, you can still be wrong. Being analytical is not an exact science. Since you may be right or wrong, analytical writing is always cautious. Tread carefully. Arguably, it could be that. Possibly, it may be because. It could be due to this, it could be due to that. The language is always very cautious because you may be right or wrong. An example of writing analytically is the way in which Charity A reports its performance can be seen through the lens of legitimization theory. You are seeking to offer a deeper view of an apparent action. There is also another difference between the two sisters. The results section requires you to specify, while the discussion section requires you to generalize. In the results section, you should describe the content of your interviews, surveys, or questionnaires. Your focus is on the specific words and deeds and actions of interviewees, respondents, or organizations. An example of this is that the interviewee felt that the care staff had a negative attitude towards her because of her age. Presentation of this specific observation is central to the results section. In contrast, the main job of the discussion section is to connect the content from your interview, surveys, or questionnaires to the wider world. How does the words, deeds, and actions you presented in your results section relate or impact wider society? You'll find that when you want to publish your research, editors want you to discuss the specific nature of your data. But what they really value is that you connect your specific data with the wider society. Scholarly activity of connecting, correlating, associating, establishing relationships is highly valued. However, make sure when you generalize that you cite or reference the literature. This will make your generalization stronger. Also, when you make connections, use cautious language and be conservative. Do not make exaggerated claims. An example of a discussion is that in the results section, you talked about your interviewee experiencing negative attitudes because of her age. You now connect that specific experience to wider occurrences. This was not an isolated incident. Rather, a recent report issued by the Institute of Medicine observed that negative attitudes towards older Adults persist in the healthcare community across professional disciplines and across care settings. It could be a specific observation or an offhanded comment or a phrase or even something unsaid from your interviewees. Then you try to connect that with the wider trends or wider occurrences. It is important to note that I have described the general character of the results section and the general character of the discussion section. You may find that in the discussion section, you may need to describe certain things, or in the results section, you may need to analyze certain things, but make sure the general character and the general nature of the discussion section is analysis and generalization, and the general nature of your results section is specification and description. So I have here an activity. Would this sentence be typically found in the results section or the discussion section? Notice the intro sentence in yellow and the interviewee statement in green. The author of this dissertation had described what the interviewee statement is about before they show the interviewee statement. Whenever you present a statement or quantitative information, explain what it is first. Make it easy for the person marking your work to know what is happening. Would this sentence be typically found in the results section or the discussion section? Would this sentence be typically found in the discussion section or the results section? I want to show you now how the results section and discussion section mirror each other. In the results section, you may have a subheading like this: Research participants' reactions to BT social media advertising. This is a descriptive section where you just present the research participants' reactions to BT social media advertising. However, in the discussion section, you return to this theme, but you analyze it this time around. You try to figure out the possible causes for the reactions to BT social media advertising. Which theories explain the reactions? Which contextual or structural reasons explain the reactions? You have discussed the what in the results section. Now you want to discuss the why in the discussion section. So in both the results section and the discussion section, you're looking at the same theme, but you approach it in two different ways: the what and the why. Also, in this discussion section, you are generalizing. In the results section, you discuss specific reactions to BT social media advertising from the individuals you personally interviewed. Now, in this discussion section, you want to try to make general connections between those people that you interviewed with the wider reaction in wider society. The possible causes that you are writing about are the possible causes for the wider society, not just that small group of people that you personally interviewed. One more example. In the results section, you presented students' comments on their experiences with the supervision process. You selected the most important comments from these students. You will now analyze these comments or unpack these comments. What is behind these comments? Which factors encourage these comments? Do these comments agree with something you've read, or do they contradict something you've read? If so, what are the reasons they contradict the literature? These are typical analytical questions. In the results section, you discuss the specific individual student experiences from the students that you interviewed, but in the discussion section, you discuss the broader student experience. The concept is abstracted now. Throughout this video, I've explained the macro approach. That is, you separate the results section from the discussion section. They are essentially two distinct sections. The results section is about 3 to 4 pages, followed by the discussion section, which is about 5 to 6 pages. This is the most common approach, I prefer this approach because it is less messy. It is very clean. The results are over here and the findings are over there. However, there is another approach, the micro approach. This is where you combine the results section and the discussion section into one section. So, under a subheading, you describe a particular theme from your interviews or surveys or questionnaires. This is immediately followed with an analysis of that same theme. Simply put, one or two paragraphs describing, followed by one or two paragraphs analyzing. Present content from your interview surveys or questionnaires, then analyze it. Present content from your interview surveys and questionnaires, then analyze it. Present content from your interviews, surveys, questionnaires, and analyze it, and so on and so forth. You follow this pattern throughout this one section. It is up to you, micro or macro. Thank you for listening. Any questions, write them in the comment section. Please like and subscribe.